Hi everyone, welcome back to another drawing tutorial. In this video, I will be doing another ballpoint sketch. As per usual, I'm using my trusty mechanical pencil because it's sharp all the time, and that's why I use them. So I previously made this design in Photoshop. It's of a raven skull with a third eye I decided to place on the forehead. And some roses are going to be around the skull in the background. So just by looking at the design on my computer screen, I'm just looking at that as I'm sketching out the proportions and getting everything laid out the way I want to have it on the paper before I go in with any ink. If you saw my last video where I was drawing some roses as well, I came across a problem with one of the roses because I didn't have a really good reference photo for it. All the petals were kind of condensed, it was overexposed, and I couldn't get enough of the detail and contrasting shapes in order to really make it look like a rose, and to me it kind of just wound up looking like a cabbage. And I didn't want any more of those, so I really made sure to get some good references for roses where you can distinctly see each and every petal and where they are supposed to be. So I filmed this part in real time so that you can see what I'm talking about. Before I go in with any ink, I like to warm up first with the pen and just make a lot of lines in the same direction because that's how I will be shading. And it's good to try and practice going in different directions and also wiping off the ink periodically to reduce any chance of blotting while you're drawing. This is just good to do before you draw anything, to be honest. It just warms you up and will help you get better results with your shading. So what I'm doing here is I'm going right for the areas where I know there's going to be a lot of super dark shadows. And I'm first going in lightly, but then I'm building it up. Since I know these areas are going to be really dark anyways, I feel more comfortable blocking those areas in first so that I can get an idea of what the overall contrast with the object I'm drawing is going to be, and then just work my way from there and build up layers. Something I wanted to point out about what I'm doing is I am shading the skull based on the contours of the object. If that makes sense, what I'm really doing is I'm going in the direction of the shape of the area I'm shading. So where it bumps up to the forehead from the beak, I'm doing curved lines that kind of give the illusion that it's raised over with the shading and the direction I am shading it. Same with around the top of the head where it's rounded, I'm doing circular shading lines in that direction. I hope I'm explaining that well. I don't know. So, ignore how gross my phone is. Well, now you're probably gonna look at it, whatever. What I'm doing now is I'm doing the darker color of the raven's beak because there's a part of it on the skull that's black. So I'm just making sure I'm focusing a lot more ink and layers down there, but I'm also leaving space for where I want the central highlight to be. Obviously, you don't want to color that in because you want it to be light. So, just keeping the center part significantly lighter than the perimeter where it is going to be shaded more. So it's getting pretty close to Halloween, and I generally like to draw spooky things anyways, so I just wanted to add to the spook factor, and I put some cracks in the skull because I thought, like, yeah, man, it'll make it look weathered and I don't know, but I liked the effect, so we'll just go with it. Then I'm going to color in the eye. Now this is actually a raven's eye. I photoshopped an actual raven's eye onto the skull. So I wanted it to look more like a raven's eye, because why would I put a human eye on a raven's head? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's what I'm doing. And I am, again, doing that highlight where it goes over the pupil a little bit. And where the pupil goes over the highlight, I just shade it super light. And then underneath where the pupil is just normal and there's no highlight covering it, I make that really, really dark. It just gives the illusion of like a layer of over the eye that's wet. Alright, so right here I am shading the rose petals lengthwise to give the illusion, you know those veins you see when, like if you look closely at rose petals, you can see like the growth veins that go from the inside of the rose outwards towards the edge of the petals. I'm just kind of giving the illusion of that, but then to give the illusion of shading or like shadows within the petals, I'm going, well, I'm doing like cross hatching, similar to what I did with the raven skull. You can see it a lot closer here, kind of going with the shape of the outside edge. Sorry for that long break. I wanted to wait until you could see a good example of a leaf I'm working on to explain this. As you can see, for each section between the veins in the leaves, I'm creating a curved shadow, so I'm forcing a lot of the direction forward. And when I first put the pen down, it's really dark, so I'm pushing heavy, and then I lightly lift up as I'm creating that curve forward, and that will make a gradient that goes from really dark to really light. And I keep that space of the really light gradient shading, and it kind of gives the illusion of veins in the leaves kind of creating divots within it. Something that I feel like really made these roses pop is the type of lighting that they have, but also the darker line I have on the petals that are more at the bottom. When the petals are facing upwards more, I don't want to outline them too harshly because I don't want them to look like a cartoon or something. But the ones at the bottom, where they're curving under, where they would be naturally catching a harsher shadow, I like to lightly outline them a little bit, and I just feel like it makes them look crisp, and yeah, I don't know, I just really like it. Okay, sorry. I had to turn this upside down and draw this rose because just the way it was positioned in order for me to do the lengthwise shading along the petals, it was just easier this way. This rose was a problem and it made me super angry, but you know what? It's okay because there's always a part in a drawing that's annoying, okay? It's just gonna happen. So, yeah, that was my way of solving that issue. Anyways, I also later found out that my design was a little lopsided. The roses on the right were a little bit more heavy than the ones on the left, meaning they're a little bit bigger and took up just a little bit more space than the ones on the left. So I improvised and BS'd it and just added more leaves to fix it because I was not about to add more roses and just mess it all up. And this is pretty much the end of the video, I think. Yeah, it is. Here's what it looks like. Boom. See you next time. Please give me a thumbs up. Thanks, bye!